Welcome to another episode of Definitely Not Therapy. And I can't stress this enough. It's definitely not therapy. But what it is a safe space for you to come and have a little chit chat. Chit chat? Who says chit chat? In this episode, I'll be speaking to Steve Williams. Steve hit the depths of depression at the young age of 25. It got so bad for Steve. There was 3 suicide attempts. He took 3 attempts on his own life, which that breaks my heart. And I think anyone listening, that is heartbreaking. However, the following year, not even a year on from Steve's 3 suicide attempts, he ran a marathon. There was days where I couldn't even get out of bed. I still struggled to go to the gym. He ran a marathon. Not only that, Steve went on to manage one of Coronation Street's biggest stars. He'd become friends with a gladiator. Who remember any 80s, 90s children that remember Gladiators? Saturday night TV, you all sat around, you're watching Gladiators. Steve became friends with one of them. You'll find out which one right here. Steve also went on to produce a play, which was the first of its kind. And did Steve stop there? No, he didn't. He went on to write a best-selling book that hit #1 in the UK. Sure. USA. Do you understand how big USA is? Massive. And it was a #1 bestseller there. I'm really pleased that Steve has decided to join us on Definitely Not Therapy to share his journey. And hopefully some of this will resonate with you. If you're sat there at the moment and you're thinking, I'm at my lowest, I'm depressed, I'm in the darkest place I've ever been, well, hopefully this will resonate with you. This can relate to you. And you can maybe sit there and think, okay, I'm not alone. Steve did it. He got up and did it. And he made 3 attempts on his life. You know, can you get any lower than that? And he's still here today. And I think for one, I'm really, really pleased that he's still here today. And I'm sure the millions of people that his book has helped are pleased as well. And this just goes to show, it doesn't matter how low it gets. Please just stick in there, because you don't know what's around the corner. And sure, I'm not saying that you're going to come out the other side and go and write a best-selling book. That would be amazing if everyone could do that, but it's just not how the world works. But your being great, your tomorrow might look like, I can get up, I can have a shower, I can go to the shop. And then the day after that might be something different, and just build yourself up in stages. But you can do it. You can do it. So anyway, let's welcome Steve onto the podcast. Welcome, Steve. I don't know why I do that, because he's not here yet. He hasn't logged in. Definitely not therapy. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Really good, thanks, mate. Yeah.
Good. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
No problem, my man. No problem. Happy to be in.
Do you prefer to be called Steve or Steve-O? Because obviously you're...
Steve-O, whatever. Anything, mate.
Anything. All right. Because Steve-O, my best friend's called Steve, and Steve-O is what I chant at him when he's playing football or doing something. I'm like, Steve-O, Steve-O. So I was like...
All right. Well, if you want to chant for me...
You might want that level. We'll see how well the podcast goes first, Steve. So before we sort of get into it, have you got any questions yourself?
No, mate, no. Listen, I'm a complete open book. I'm very honest about what I've been through, my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions. I'm completely honest. I don't hide away from it. I don't shy away from it. Yeah, it's just talk from the heart, man. Do you know what I mean?
Love that. Wear your heart on your sleeve.
Because it's up to other people to decide then, isn't it, you know?
100%. 100%.
It's up to that. I'm not going to change who I am because some guy goes, I don't like you. I'm like, well, great if you don't like me. I'd rather be, if I'm going to be an arsehole, I want to be the best.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Do you know what? Social media changed me because I used to be... do you know what? I've even got this quote. You probably can't see it. I've got this quote written on my arm, and it says... I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not.
Absolutely.
And it, like, when I was younger, it really hit me. Like, it was a Kurt Cobain quote, and it really hit me. But I don't necessarily live my life like that since I joined social media. Someone will put a comment, and I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll check. Like, I might get 100 really nice comments, and I'll get one, and they'll be like, oh, this is this, and this is that. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, I should change my whole... I need to change everything I do now. And I don't know why I do that, but I think I don't know. That's social media for you, I guess.
It is, and I think it's just it's a blessing and a curse, isn't it?
Yep.
Because it gives you exposure, but it gives you exposure to absolutely everybody. Do you know what I mean? The haters, the people who love you, and I guess it doesn't matter what you do. Not everybody's going to be happy, but that's great because you're just being authentic. Because if you try and please everybody, for one, you haven't got enough time in the day to please everybody.
Yep.
Number two, you're going to be exhausted. You're not going to be having anything to think about yourself. You're not going to include yourself in anything because you're going to be thinking of ways to forge relationships with people. And you're thinking, well, and there's no value in it, is there? So I've gone through all that.
Well, as you know, I'm sort of talking to a different stranger on every single episode. I think it's really, really important to spread awareness for not just mental health, men's mental health, but a whole host of topics. I honestly believe that you don't need to be a CEO of a big company, or you don't need to be a celebrity to have a really interesting story. I like, hand on heart, I think every single person has got an interesting story, and I just want to be the person that gives those people a voice to tell their story. I'm sort of trying to become the Diane Youdale of the podcast world, if you like. You know, brilliant, absolutely fabulous, brilliant, really funny. It's like me in my videos. Every single one of them is hilarious. I'm sure you'll definitely agree with that.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, she went on and done amazing things for the Gurkhas. So I'm just sort of being the Diane Youdale of the podcast world, really. Unless she's got a podcast, then she is probably the Diane Youdale of the podcast world, I guess. But well, look, I'm really excited to get into your story, Steve. First of all, if we can just have a little bit of an icebreaker, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, what you do.
Yeah, so I'm from a small town in North Wales called Colwyn Bay.
Okay, I've not heard of that one.
Town up in North Wales. I've been here for best part of 15 years, but I did move away to Leeds and then came back here because life didn't go too well up there. So I moved back, retreat to the bunker, to what I know and where I'm safe. So I've just been building up my profile and everything to help with mental health, because moments in my life, I was ignoring it. But other than that, it's just been a roller coaster. I've got to say, my life, absolute roller coaster of emotions and experiences. But just a little town in North Wales.
Nice. Well, I must admit, when I was reading your sort of research sheet, and listen, we've sort of been in contact for a fairly long time, because I remember you reaching out a long time ago. I can't remember when, but a long time ago, and you have consistently like checked in with me, which has been really, really lovely of you to do. But you seem like you've been a bit of a consistent in my life over the last year and a half.
No, it's good, because when you realise that somebody's going through it and you can see the pain, and from my level of empathy and understanding what I've been through is, you've been through a painful experience, and knowing that, yes, can you take 2 minutes out of your day just to reach out to somebody, just keep on checking in, then absolutely you can. And it is, and I know that it makes a difference on the other side, because people have told me, like yourself and other people, say thanks for checking in. I felt lonely or isolated at the moment. I read your message and it gave me that little bit of a lift, and thank you. So I need to look out for each other, don't we? Be kinder to each other, really.
100%. And I don't think you can underestimate. I know people might be sat there thinking, well, it's just a message, but I don't think when you're in a really low spot and you're feeling lonelier than you've ever felt, you'd be surprised the power that just a message, someone checking in, can have. Okay, so look, let's go back to let's start at the beginning and talk about your childhood. What was it like sort of growing up for you?
My childhood was really exciting because I lived on the coast near the sea with my mum and dad and my brother, who's 3 years younger than me. I got everything that I wanted. You know what I mean? And I had the love, I had the friendship, I had amazing things around the community. We were spoiled on everything we could do back in those days in the 80s. The freedom was incredible. When you look back and you look at the freedom, going out and forced to go out and never come back in. parents didn't want to see you. Just go out. And we used to create stuff, go in the woods and skate parks and everything. So my childhood and being on the coast was amazing. I was very lucky that my grandparents on my dad's side, they had a inflatable castle and seaside rides, and they used to be in the local prom to me. So I used to spend my summers working on there and just having a very good luxury of life, you know?
Wow. I must admit, yeah, that resonates with me. The growing up, we're probably a similar age. And yeah, it was different growing up, wasn't it? We were kicked out of the house first thing in the morning, and then we'd come home. It's like come home when it gets dark. And that was it. You wouldn't see your parents and they wouldn't know where you are. There was no mobile phones.
No. Now, if you're gone for an hour, you're on social media. No, so when I talk about my childhood, it's great to go back to those days and think about those memories because the safety and everything you had. It's just a nice place. So I talk about that from, regrettably, the world that people are in now, it's hard for them to imagine that we had that much freedom. So I love talking about my childhood. Yeah, it was amazing.
And then, so obviously at some point in your life, things took a bit of a turn, and you then had some mental health struggles. You suffered with some depression. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. So I moved from North Wales with my partner at the time and my daughter, and we moved to Wakefield, Leeds, West Yorkshire. She wanted to be closer to her parents, so I packed up and moved up there to start a fresh life and everything else. That it didn't turn out very well, and we ended up splitting up and co-parenting and all that. But during that time, my mum had been diagnosed with cancer. I had to keep on providing for my family and everything, and then do visits back from West Yorkshire down to Colwyn Bay to see my mum on visits. And when I first saw my mum and her looking ill and poorly, and you've never seen it, it kind of haunted me a bit because you know the severity of the illness because your mum's not looking like your mum. So yeah, she battled hard and hard. And then there was a time when my relationship split up. And I remember going to Leeds, the train station. I remember going to a phone box and phoning my mum to tell her the relationship's over and let her know that I'll be okay. And I left there and I had nowhere to sleep. I spent the night on the streets, but I had nowhere to go. I remember speaking to my mum and I said, Mum, I'll just come home. And she said, no, stay up there. You moved up there for a reason. Just go and do what you can up there and enjoy your life. And that kind of resonated with me, but I didn't tell my mum that I was going to be homeless. I had nowhere to sleep. I had a very short amount. Well, I had a low income in my bank. I was 4 days off payday. And I just spent the night on the streets, went to work in a call centre, went to the gym in the morning, had a shower, got changed. And I kept that going until I got paid. And then I got a rented shared accommodation. But it was that moment, that connection with my mum, that my mum said, stay up there and do your best. So even though my mum was ill, I know if I had come down, my mum would have loved to have seen me. I know I would have disappointed her because I would have let her down, even though I didn't see her as much because she was ill. I know that I was fulfilling my dream and what she wanted for me. So it was a bittersweet moment to easier to go down and see your mum, but there was nothing I could have done for my mum with cancer. I can't.
Yeah.
I could take the pain away. I'd have been down there like a shot, like any parent, like any child would for their parents, but I couldn't. But I didn't want to let my mum down and say, I'm back here because of you. I've left all that. She would have been devastated. So I didn't want to. So yeah, so I had that moment. And then when my mum passed away, I was back in North Wales when she passed away. And I remember early hours in the morning, my dad coming into the bedroom. And I just knew at that time that it wasn't good. And then he just said, your mum's passed away. And that moment really froze me, although I was expecting it. But I didn't want to hear it. And when she passed away, I was still shocked. And you start going through your mind about all the experiences and everything. And it's all then resonates to the one-offs. I'll never hear my mum on the phone again, and that voice. I will never be able to have her favourite food she used to cook for me. All that's gone for the rest of my life. That has gone. And I couldn't make sense of that.
Yeah.
I couldn't make sense of it at all. And that's when, because I couldn't make sense of it, I internalised it and tried to put on a brave face, because back in 2000 and 2001, when my mum passed away, nobody spoke about mental health really. And I just kind of tried to hide it.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to get into trouble.
Wow. That sounds... So how old were you when that all sort of... So that's a young age to go through even like a serious breakup when you're in a completely unknown, well, not an unknown place, but you're somewhere that wasn't somewhere that you went for you. You was in a strange place, I guess, and then all alone, and then you're going to feel even more isolated, and then to have all that happen as well, and your mind must have been just all over the place, because obviously of your mum, you wanted to be there, but you didn't want to disappoint her, but you wanted to spend time with her, and then it just all these things. Like, how did you cope with that?
I didn't cope. My thoughts, on the passing, it was really mixed, because although my mum passed away, until the funeral, I didn't accept she'd gone. If seeing that, going through that process was kind of like a reality for me that my mum was definitely gone. And I remember getting the train back up through Colton Bay and back up to Leeds, where my new life was. And I remember going through this tunnel, and it's a well-known tunnel around me, and you're coming into an area. Once you get through that tunnel, you're home. And it was that same feeling when I was going through that tunnel, coming through the other end. I was like, it's gone, it's over. And I kind of sat in that seat there, just staring out with my thoughts, just trying to make sense of it, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't make sense. Why my mum? And I became angry. I became a nasty piece of work, because I couldn't handle it. I couldn't understand why my mum, who'd done everything in her life to support me, and why she was the one that had to have the cancer at such a young age. And I used to see these homeless people, these drunks and drug users, and I didn't understand it like I do now. But back then, my train of thought is, why are they alive and they're abusing their health? And my mum just wanted her health and she was denied it. And I couldn't make sense of any of it. It just wasn't making sense.
Yeah.
So then the thoughts just kept on getting darker and darker and darker. And I had my daughter, who I picked up every 2 weeks, and I had to raise my game and stay in some sort of place for her. And what I did become, Dan, and you probably understand, get this, I became very good at acting. Nobody knew. Nobody really knew what I was going through. Nobody. It was only because I didn't tell them, but they couldn't see it, because I was always pushing when I look back at it, I was far too happy. When somebody's happy, but somebody's really happy.
Too happy, it's suspicious. It's like, yeah.
But what I was, but nobody got on. Mates used to phone me, and they used to say, "Are you coming out tonight?" I used to say, yeah, I'll be there. And then I wouldn't turn up. And I just switched my phone off, because I realised if I say I'm not going to be there, I've got 4 hours before I need to be there. So I've got 4 hours of time to think, and then they'll be angry with me. But then I dealt with that the following day. But I was in complete denial. I didn't even know it was real, proper grief, to be honest. I just didn't know what to do.
Like you say, people like back then, it wasn't spoken about. People didn't really check in with each other. It was just, mates wouldn't ask if you're okay. Do you know what I mean? It just wasn't a done thing. And the way you're sort of brought up, it's just the way life was. You would just kind of pick yourself up and get on with it. It's just, you just get on with it. It's definitely not therapy. That was a fairly long time ago that you went through all of that. Obviously, mine is more recent. And even in a day and age where people do talk more. You know, we are going in the right direction, but you still feel alone. I've been in a room full of people that love me and care about me, and never felt more alone. There's just a feeling in you that nothing can change. So I think it's nice that we kind of, there is more support out there now. It's good that there are support groups. I think being around people and talking to people that have been through the same thing, that's probably when I felt less alone. Whether this is just me, you become very selfish. You become very selfish, like, well, I'm the only person in the world this has happened to, and I want everyone to hear what I'm going through, and no one's listening to me, and all these things. And it's just like, actually, do you know what? Loads of people go through what you've been through. You're never alone. There's always people that have gone through what you've been through and worse, and have come out the other side. And I think until you necessarily sort of sit and hear that, you don't. It's difficult to appreciate, if that makes sense.
I did that when I told the friend of mine the reason why that I'd been not a very nice person, unexplained bouts of anger, and I was explaining it to him. Their response was something that made me feel relieved straight away, but embarrassment in equal measures.
Oh, really?
Yes. Is that all it is? I've been through that as well. That's what he said.
Okay.
Is that all it was? I wish you would have told me. I've been through that. I went through it 3 years ago. And it was that embarrassment. I thought, I've been an idiot for so long. I could have pushed everybody away from me. And then when I started talking about it, then people were saying, I felt the same, Steve. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And it's almost like it was like a Pandora's box. As soon as I opened the key and said, this is how I felt, they were like, I felt like this and I felt like, so it changed the dynamics of our group and our friendship for the better. But I was lacking. I had a job. I was going to work and everything else, and I was doing everything that I thought I needed to do. But nothing of it made sense. So I decided to do something in memory of my mum to try and help me.
Nice.
So stupidly, I sat in my living room, and I knew my mum loved the London Marathon. She loved it. We used to watch it together. So I thought, do you know what? I'll do it. I'll run the London Marathon. I'll apply. Thousands of people apply and don't get it. So I thought, if I apply and I don't get it, when you tried. So I was filling it out, and I got a letter, 6 weeks later, saying congratulations. And I just went, oh, shit. Now I've got to run 26 miles, man. Jesus Christ, that's a long way. I couldn't even run 2 miles. Do you know what I mean? I was probably 16, 17 stone, quite heavy, overweight at the time, and I was just like, I can't do this. I had to lose the weight and train, and I did it the following year. But I felt that I needed, and now because I work with helping people have a purpose and all kinds of that, I thought then your purpose needs to be something big and grandeur. And if I look back at myself now and back then, do you know, I would just spoke more.
Yeah.
As my and not run 26.2 miles because it's a long way.
It's really. I don't think I've ever run that far in my entire life. Put all the runs that I've done together, it's never been that much.
Honestly, I'm proud of the fact that I've done it, and it was raising money from my mum, Macmillan, to say thank you, and that was my thank you to them. But 26 miles, Dan, it's a long way, and
you could have done a half marathon. Do you know what I mean? You could have got away with.
Didn't I though, Dan? Why did I have to go for the big grandeur, the big spotlight? Oh, Steve's doing the London Marathon. Yes, it sounds great. When you get the training, there's nothing great about it because you're doing runs for 4 hours and your mates are in a pub saying, well, send Steve a message, check in and see how he's doing. Instead of inviting, I should have been in the pub with them having fun, but no. But it was a source of therapy.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that, but it was. When I look back, it was a source of therapy because every time I was hitting the ground with my foot, I kept on hearing my mum, and I was doing it for that. So it helped me massively. Exercise did. It cleared a lot of things for me, and it gave me clarity where I I was out on my own for hours running, and I started to make sense of myself and start to learn about who I am, because I totally lost that. I lost who I was. So I started finding out that I was committed, I was strong, I was determined. All these things inside of me that were there started to come out on the run, because I ran. Do you know what? My first run, right? I ran a mile, right, Dan? My first mile. Do you know what? I was gutted. I was gutted that I completed my first mile, because I ran a mile in a straight line without realising I had to run back. First mile was 2 miles. I was gutted. Absolutely gutted.
What a lesson to learn on your first run, is to realise, oh yeah, I've got to go back now. But that must have given you, so once you did the marathon, it must have given you a real sense of achievement though. Like, you did it, you sat there, you got the letter, you was like, oh, can't believe I got in. But when you completed it, that must have given you a sense of, like, I know there's times you missed out on, but what you probably gained was far greater than the times that you missed out on.
Yeah, when I crossed that line, it was like my final nod to my mum to say, that's for you. My final nod to her, because I was starting to realise that the thoughts that I was having previously and my clarity that I was having through the running, I could tell the difference in my own head, what those thoughts were doing to my emotions and my feelings. So I knew that through that running, I had to move on in life. I realised that I can't do anything about it. Getting angry at everybody, can't keep that up. I could have ended up in jail. Could have done something really bad. I could have gone to drugs or drink, but I didn't. The marathon saved me from that.
Wow.
And so it was kind of like a nod to my mum to say, right, okay, I've done that, brilliant. But again, it was after that 26.2 miles. So I booked the return train ticket, give myself an hour and a half gap, right, trying to show off in front of my work colleagues, right? I'll book the return, and I made it by 15 minutes, right? But when I finished the marathon, they give you a medal, there's the blanket, and they give you a bag, and you fill it full of sandwiches and drinks and everything. They're trying to get you fueled up. And then I went back to get my bag with all my kit, and I got that. And I said to the guy, where's the nearest tube? Because I had no idea. So he says, you go out here and you go up that hill. Are you kidding? Is there anywhere in London is either flat or downhill? Because I don't think I could make it. And I made it by 15 minutes, and I got on that train back. But that moment, again, was everybody had or been in the marathon or ran it who was on that train. So it was an amazing feeling. But I had to acknowledge then that my mum bit, the anger, the frustration, and everything else, that had to leave. So the marathon for me, crossing that line was like, yeah.
So when you say you kind of was angry, you were angry at the world, you was angry at everything, you just became an angry person. What did that look like in terms of your day-to-day? I know you mentioned about like just telling your friends you'll be there and then not turning up, but was there any real kind of problems that you got yourself in because of it?
Yeah. So my anger, I used to be very confrontational, right? I used to challenge the drugs. I used to challenge the drug. I was challenging the drug dealers for, you know what I mean, destroying people's health. I was putting myself in real danger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Purely driven by anger. But I got to a point that, I've got to be honest, I got to a point where I was tired of that. And I was tired of not understanding myself. So deep down in my dark depression days, and I didn't understand it, I was tired of it. I wanted it to stop. And it needed to stop because I was tired. I was tired of trying to convince people. I was tired of trying to be happy all the time. And it was exhausting, and it was exhausting. So I then decided that I didn't want to live anymore. So I got myself into a position mentally where, knowingly, I had my daughter, who was only very young. I had good friends around me. I had everything. But it still wasn't enough. So I tried to kill myself 3 times with tablets.
Wow.
And drink. And the first time I did it, I was gutted that I woke up. And the second time, I thought, right, got the tablets, you got the drink, just go for it. And I kept on waking up, Dan. I kept on waking up, and I was gutted. And I sat there, and honestly, Dan, I said to myself, right here, I said to myself, you can't even do this. How rubbish are you? You're shit at everything. You can't even kill yourself. And I was thinking, and then it came to me, I was like, well, maybe I don't want to die. And maybe the reason why I didn't take enough tablets at the time is because, yes, I was in the process of wanting to do it, but deep down in my subconscious, whatever, I didn't really want to die.
Yeah.
But I was tired. And I think you can get yourself into that mindset on where nothing matters. The closest people to you, the love that everybody has for you, that does not matter when you're in that dark, dark, dark place.
Yeah. I think it's very easy to convince yourself, and I can only, speak for myself, but I think it's very easy to convince yourself when you're getting in that kind of mind frame that it won't matter. No one cares anyway, so it won't matter if you're not here anymore.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, and I've heard a few stories of people doing similar things to that, Steve, and it sounds like, and when I sometimes have heard stories similar to people taking pills, a lot of the time it is a cry for help, and people then looking back on it can say, yeah, it was a cry for help. They would do it when they knew family were about to come home, or they would do it when they knew someone would find them. Whereas it sounds like you'd kind of committed and you was on your own and you did it, and no one would have been coming home through the door in 5 minutes to find you. You'd made that decision and that was it for you. But obviously there was a bigger purpose for you, and I'm glad, and I'm sure every single person in your life and every single person that's read your book, which obviously we'll come on to, is glad that you are still here, mate.
No, absolutely. And do you know what? It's going to sound really bad, this one here. The thing that saved me, right, was this morning TV.
Okay.
I was flicking through the channel, and they had this psychologist on called Dr. Raj Basu.
Mm.
And he was talking about mental health. And I just heard it. I was like, oh, I wonder what he's got to say for himself, because I wasn't hearing enough people talking about it. So when I heard it, I thought, so I had to wait for the adverts to go on because it says coming next. I was like, Jesus, waiting for the 2 minutes of adverts. And then it came on and it was starting to talk to him. And he had this book called Stay Insane, it was called.
Okay.
Dr. Raj Basu. And I was listening to it, and things were starting to make sense to me. And I bought his book, and I completed his book. And that was the first time that things started to make sense. So having not watched this morning or flicking through the channels, I just saw coming up. It said Dr. Ross was talking about mental health, and it was just that. So I owe a lot to it, to this morning, really, because hadn't I watched it and not bought that book, yeah, it might have taken something else to shift me out of it. But that was the moment, was that. And it's amazing, isn't it, how you can just, that one moment where something just makes sense in a mind where nothing made sense.
Yeah.
People get clarity from anywhere, don't they? It could be a message that you get. It could be something in passing that somebody says. And it's just something that moment that you needed to hear something, or you were ready to hear something that would shift what you were going through. And for me, it was that moment in this morning that put that shift in for me, that I'll say, right, okay, this has to change. So yeah, it was quite a moment, yeah.
Mine actually came, I've had a couple of moments because I've been very up and down and openly on social media. I've had a couple, and the first one was a message. It was just a DM that I got. And you get a lot of DMs of support. I've talked about this in previous episodes, but it's nice having a lot of support because you get a lot of messages of support. But what comes with that is a lot of trolls and a lot of strong opinions and a lot of hate. So it's sort of twofold really. But one message I got, and it didn't really sink in. It was floating around my head, and the message was, and it was just a standalone, just a message from someone I'd never spoken to, and it said, "Don't forget, she lost someone who adored her, loved her, worshipped her. You've lost someone who gave up on you." And it's sort of, because I was holding this weight and this guilt on my shoulders that I'd ruined everything. I'd had this perfect, beautiful life, and that, what did I do to mess this up? And sometimes it just is the way it is. It's just the way the cards are dealt, and it just, it happens. But I was sort of holding all the weight as a man. I think we do that as a man. We're sort of, if a man leaves, it's like, oh, you're an arsehole. You've left a woman and a child. You're an arsehole. If a woman leaves, it's like, oh, isn't she brave? She's so brave. So a man holds that weight on his shoulders, even if he's shouldn't, just because, especially, I guess, because I'm on the internet and people say stuff, you carry that with you, because all the negativity, you do see it. You can't just ignore the negativity, because you have to sift through it to find the positive that you're craving at that time. But that message just stood out, and I was on a long walk a couple of days later, and I just thought, that really hit home for me. It's definitely not therapy. You touched briefly on that you like to help people. You're a big supporter in helping. So, and obviously, I've read your research sheet, and there's quite a lot of interesting things on there. You've gone on to do some great things. One of them that stood out to me was you went on to manage, one of Coronation Street's most, what would we call him? Definitely one of their biggest characters. I remember him when I was growing up. So is that something that you can talk about and tell us a little bit about?
No, because I put it in my book. So it was a really strange meeting. So I don't know. Well, so through my whole childhood, right? Yeah, there's a footballer back in the 70s, 80s called Mickey Thomas.
Okay.
Wrexham and Manchester United. He scored the famous goal from Wrexham against Arsenal. Anyway, he's been one of my closest friends, right, growing up and that lot, right? So I was with him. So I've been around those circles of people, because I've been to after dinner speakings with him. I helped him with his after dinner speaking. I helped him a lot, as a friend would. So I came across this chance meeting, right, with Bruce on a bus, right? And I was just chatting to him. I heard he was in the area, and I heard he was struggling. So I'd met him by chance a few times, but we hadn't had a proper chat. So we said, I said, all right, Bruce, how are you doing? He goes, oh, great. How are you? I said, great. He goes, what are you doing? So I've just come into town to go meet some friends later. I said, but I'm just going to have a shop around. He goes, oh, do you fancy going for a drink and having a chat? So we went to this pub called the Cottage Loaf in Llandudno. And we just sat there, and he was just telling me all these things and what's been going on and what's happened and everything else like that. And he had mental health issues and stuff like that. And there was something in the newspaper talking about mental health, and that brought us onto the subject, and we're just talking about it. So I said, look, if you ever want any help and support and that lot, let me try and help you, because he wasn't in Coronation Street, he wasn't that. So he goes, could you? Absolutely. I've done it before and helped people, so I know what to do, what's needed. And we just started talking, and he was sofa surfing at the time. There was lots of things. So I thought the best thing to do is to get somebody their foundation. Okay?
Yeah.
Have you got money coming in? No. Right, okay, you need money. So we're very fortunate to have the benefit system and everything. Got him on that, get some money, and I got him a cottage up out on the way in the hills and that one. So I got him a foundation, I got him a base. So you can build from there. And then he'd been in contact with another person who was in management in London called Zoe. So me and Zoe joined forces, and we thought, we'll help Bruce get back. And a lot of the reputation for Bruce was he was an alcoholic, and he wasn't. He just comes from a generation where his parents, his dad went to work, went to the pub, and then went home. That's all he's seen.
Yeah.
So he's kept that traditional. But people say if you go to the pub every day after work, you're an alcoholic or you got a drink problem. He's just going through what he knows and all he knows. But so drink was seen to be a problem. So I thought, well, what things can we do? So Big Brother has come about, right? So we thought, should we try and get them on there? So we approached them. They had an idea when we said Bruce is available. They had an idea to bring Bruce and Janice back.
So, I mean, it's a great idea. And just for anyone listening, Bruce, is it Bruce Jones? What's his?
Les Battersby.
Les Battersby, that's it.
I remember pitching it to Bruce, and I was saying, it's a lump sum money. There'll be okay money to get you on your feet and everything else like that. There'll be things after it. I said, but you just got to go on there and just be yourself so people can see right there that you don't shake in the morning like an alcoholic would. You're not going for drink. And he was like, okay. And I remember the day before he was due to go down to London, we had a meal at his friend's house. And he was saying at the back, this is going to bring me back, Steve, isn't it? Like, if you do well, right, and this goes off how I think Channel 4 wants it to go off, and now, hey, this is going to be really good for you. I remember going down there for the opening. And because I don't know who's going there, I know one person who's talks with. I don't know who else is going there. So I go into the launch party and you go in the room and you're like, oh, they're going to be in it. They're going to be in it. Wow, they're going to be in it because you're meeting their friends and family. Now, none of my friends knew this was going on, right? Because it was just something that I kept, because I had to keep it to myself.
Yeah, of course.
And the launch happened and Dane Bowers was in there. He was managing Screech from Saved by the Bell.
Yes.
Dustin Diamond.
I remember him.
He was in there, right? I was stood next to him on the launch, right? And it goes off because it's recorded. It's an hour before it goes on TV and stuff like that. So when it's live, that's when the people are seeing it. And I've already experienced it. So after that, my phone's just going off saying, what the fuck are you doing on TV? What the hell are you doing? As a family? What are you doing there? It was just bonkers. I used to get treated so well down. I wasn't used to it, right? So I used to get the train down there. I get a text message, there's a car waiting for you outside. So you go to the car, and I got taken to Elstree Studios, right? And then I got a car from Elstree Studios to my hotel, and then from my hotel back to the train station, back home.
Wow.
It wasn't used to that. I got my first time I got into this car, right? I opened the door, right, at the boot to put my bag in, and I opened the door. The guys go, no, I do that. So I started getting to the front, as you would in any car. Can you sit in the back and just relax? I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
It is surreal though, isn't it? It is surreal. I remember I had it in like the same sort of thing when I went to we was flown out to Vegas, the hotel. Elvis, I don't know if you're an Elvis fan, but so I'd just been to watch the Elvis film with my mum. We'd just lost my granddad. It was through COVID, and I wasn't really sleeping very much. And I'd watched this film, and I'm a big Elvis fan. My family were big Elvis fans growing up. And this video come on Instagram, and it was of the Westgate Hotel, which was the Hilton, which is where Elvis Presley did his sellout tour. Is like however many years it was, where he done 2 shows a day. It was massive. And I remember it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep because my mind was all over the place. I'd just lost my granddad, and I was sort of grieving and felt quite alone. And I just remember messaging them and saying, can I come out to the hotel? Thinking, this is silly. Like, I'm really a nobody, But I woke up in the morning to an email from their PR team saying, yeah, and they'd arranged, we had flights, they put us up in a penthouse, and we got all the backstage stuff to Elvis. And it was like when we arrived at the airport in Vegas, there was this big SUV, there was a driver there to pick us up, and he took all of our stuff, and you feel like a celebrity, don't you? It's a surreal feeling.
Couldn't get used to it. So when I was going to the studio, right, they were editing the show from the night before. So I went down there and I used to catch some of the edits. Ryland was there and a few others were there doing the show. And Diane Youdale was there, who was Jet from Gladiators.
Yes.
So she was in the green room because she was the psychotherapist in there. So I've gone into this green room. I've known who she is straight away because you can never forget, can you?
Well, it was Jet from Gladiators. Do you know what I mean? That was all Saturday night TV. Was just Gladiators for me growing up.
You don't forget. So I was talking to her, and you know what? We just hit it off amazingly well, right? And every time we used to go down there, we used to talk and talk and talk, and we got on so well. And it's amazing, isn't it, how chance meetings and that whole experience of Big Brother introduced me to Diane. It helped me to do something for Les Battersby, who's doing incredibly well now. He's on Disney, he's on Netflix, he's doing incredibly well. But sharing their pain and their journey and helping them really made me feel like I've got something in me that can help other people.
Yeah.
So I decided to pursue that as a career rather than doing all the corporate stuff, which is what I was thinking I needed to do. When all along what was it naturally inside me was to really help people, and I just had this way of connecting with people. And yeah, that was massive. So the Big Brother experience was huge until he got booted out, and he got booted out with Dustin Diamond Screech. And it's really funny because when they get kicked out, we got ushered. He did the after show thing, the interview after. Then we got pushed off into this big car, and then we were taken to the hotel. And there was all the paparazzis outside the hotel. I couldn't see anything. I was walking, I couldn't see anything but all the flashes. We got into the hotel. And it was really funny because by the time we got to the hotel, they were showing what happened on Big Brother. And I was sat on the bar watching Bruce and Dustin watching themselves on Big Brother. It was just that moment you're like, what is my life?
It's definitely not therapy.
When we left, I said to Diane, I'm going back up to Colin Bay. She goes, oh, is that near Manchester? I said, well, it's close by 2 hours. You know what I mean? So she goes, oh, great. Well, I'll tell you what, get in the car with me, bearing in mind, we don't know each other very well. So I got in the car with her and drove all the way to Manchester from London. And then I got the train from Manchester, just about 2 hours, to Colwyn Bay. And in that car, there was just me and her. And the conversations we had about mental health, my story and that one, it was through her that made me want to become a therapist. I wanted to help people more because that's what she was doing. I was fascinated by how an individual can have that level of understanding of somebody else's mind where I didn't even understand my own mind, that you could help people. And from that moment, I just decided that was it. So I got inspired because of that, because of Diane, and that's thrown me onto this career that I'm on now. But yeah, it was those moments of having met Bruce, so it all kind of flows.
It's definitely not therapy.
And it was an amazing experience, but something that you don't plan. You don't say, I want to be an agent for a celebrity or manager. And it was just something that I fell into, became very good at it, and then I stopped it because it was getting too much.
Oh, okay.
Again, something slipping. There was the pressure. It was relentless.
Right.
And I registered again that feeling that something was coming over me, that I was not as happy as I should be day to day, and I recognised that. So me and Bruce are still friends. We're very good friends. Diane's one of the closest, I'm one of her closest male friends, and we're very close. So I've kept the friendships, but I've moved away from that line of work because it was crazy, and I just then had a different focus.
Well, it's good that you could recognise that within yourself, and actually, rather than stick to it to maybe please other people, because it's clearly a job you're very, very good at, you could have just carried on down that path. But because of your past experiences, you've probably recognised, I can see a pattern here. I can see where this leads, and actually, I'm more important than not more important than these other people, but you're more important to you than to put yourself in that situation again.
Absolutely. It was a feeling. I just wasn't getting happy anymore from it. And I was just like, everything seemed to be a massive effort. Whereas before, I would jump at the chance. I was excited, but everything was an effort. I thought, no, this is not right. I need to stop. Everything's too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I stopped. Yeah.
So what was then next? What was next for Steve? When? Because obviously you wrote your book, which I'd love for you to talk about and to tell me a bit about, and obviously started your website. But was that the next thing, or was there a gap?
Big milestone. So So in 2013, with Bruce, one of the ideas that we had was to do a play about the stigma attached to depression. And it was called Tackling the Taboo. And a friend of mine who I knew, Hugh Roberts, he was a writer, a local writer. So I approached him and asked him if he'd be interested, and he'd experienced mental health, and he wrote this one-man show that Bruce was in 2013. And it was an amazing experience. And I've never produced, Dan, listen, the only thing I produced was my passport. You know what I mean? When I was asked, never produced anything before in my life. And yet I've got this big name, an important message, and I'm producing it. Like, Jesus, what? So that was something else that I put a challenge into. We got an incredible director called Ryan Dior. He directed it, and we just pulled this thing together. It was a one-man show.
And was that the first time that something like that had ever been done?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is mad. It's mad. I mean, there's obviously... But you're obviously here for like a bigger purpose, like the fact that those, and sorry to bring it up again, but those suicide attempts failed because you've gone on and you're constantly in these big moment situations where you can make a real difference or you can really change someone's life.
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
really powerful. You must be really, really proud of yourself.
Absolutely. I didn't give up on myself. I did, but subconsciously I didn't. And thank God my subconscious kept on coming to the forefront to prevent that from finally happening. But no, listen, it's just, again, it was just something, again, another thread that was pointing me towards mental health.
It's definitely not therapy.
In 2010, I got into local politics. I became a town councillor at Colwyn Bay. And then part of that, because your time served and broken service, I became the mayor of Colwyn Bay in 2018. And that was another big moment. But there are moments where I wish I could have shared the story with my mum.
Yeah.
I wish I could have that moment. So, but what was really funny, and it's this full circle moment that keeps on happening to me, Dan. So when I was getting my inauguration, right, in the town hall, years ago, that used to be a magistrate's court, right? And I got into trouble once, and I had to go there to face the magistrate. I got a £20 fine, right?
Yeah.
So when I became the mayor, I was sat in the same seat as that magistrate was.
Wow.
But I'm the mayor. I stood up and I had the chain put on. I gave a nod to where I was as a young kid in trouble before I gave my speech. I gave a nod. And that's a full circle.
That's what I was going to say. That's a real full circle moment.
For being that naughty boy where the magistrate said, "You're not cut out for this. You need to stop." And I was scared and I stopped. And then to be actually in that seat on that bench, looking out at all the people there and thinking, wow, the magistrate sat in this seat here and I'm here as the mayor. So that was a big moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I was raising money for different charities, putting a spotlight on charities, creating awareness. But to be the Lord Mayor, the mayor of your local town, I didn't set out for that kind of life, man. It was a real honour, but again, it comes pressure. When I remember back in the day, the mayor, he had his own driver with a Jaguar, right? I didn't get that to drive myself around. I remember having a flat tyre at the top of the high street, right? I'd gone out to fix my tyre. As soon as I got out, 3 people recognised me and put the phones on record.
Oh,
So
really?
I put the jack in the boot and I drove up the road just round the corner, and there was a garage up there, and I got them to change the tyre. But for that exposure, I was just like, no, I'm not doing this.
Not doing that.
Just in case I can't get the nut off or something.
Yeah, that would be the worst thing. It'd be great if that would have worked and you'd have been able to change the wheel, not a problem. Yeah, if it were me in that situation, I would have done exactly the same as you, because I can't even change a light bulb without phoning my dad and saying, "How does this work?"
There was time capsules that have been buried in the new council offices that are being built. And in 50 years' time, one gets open, and in 100 years' time. And both of those times, I'm the figurehead of the town.
Wow.
So in 50 years' time, when they open it, they're going to see who was the mayor of the town, and it's going to be me. In 100 years' time, it's going to be me. That blows my mind.
That's-
In 100 years' time,
That's really powerful. That's really impressive.
talk about me. They're going to look into me. They're going to research me. You know what I mean?
You're leaving a legacy, aren't you? It's like, I mean, that's all anyone wants, I think, is to be remembered. And you get that. You know it's done. You've secured your place in history.
The next big moment was the book. So there was a guy called Kevin Long. I used to see him in the spinning class in the gym, and he knew a lot about me, being a local lad and that lot. And he's got a company called Baby Steps Publishing. And he kept on saying to me, your story's fascinating. You need to write a book. And I was just like, nah, I wouldn't know where to start. He goes, if I tell you how easy it is to write a book, would you do it? I was like, okay, because I'm thinking in my head, a book, that's going to be, you can't just write a book. So he explained it so simply. I was like, nah, I'm not buying that, mate. You just want my money. And he goes, no, seriously, it's that easy. So, yeah, I was writing it, and it was taking a while. So a very good friend of mine from school, Wendy Friston, who I went to school with, she'd seen me doing this, and I thought I was doing a book, and she'd done something similar. So she said, I've got an idea. Instead of typing it, why don't you tell me what you want to talk about, and I'll interview you, and then I'll be able to push to get more information. And that's how we did it. She interviewed me, and I was just telling these stories like I am with you, just telling these stories.
That's a really interesting way to do it, by the way. That's a really interesting way to do it.
And my book was being launched in December, and then I get a message from the publisher, Kevin. After a week, I think you've seen a copy of the email.
Is that the email you sent to me?
Yeah.
I mean, wow, what an email.
He said, congratulations, you're number one in the UK and in America. And you're like, what? Hang on a minute. I'm just from Colton Bay, man. What's happened here? And he said it was just the title, where we put it, it just went off. So now he reminded me, he said, look, you're now going to be seen as an international best-selling author. That's you. That's what you've created for yourself.
Wow.
So I was like, so mental health is really, really leading me into some amazing opportunities. And yeah, the book was it was very therapeutic, very cathartic thinking and reflecting over everything in life and talking about some of the stories I have done today, the emotion and the not giving up and everything that I've learned through all that time. I've tried to harness and trying to explain to other people. And we're living in a society, Dan, where there's far too much pressure on individuals. There's far too much expectation. You need to be acting in this way. How you're naturally acting, you can't act like that anymore. You've got to act something different. And especially in men, and I know it happens with women, but I have a better understanding of men. And you spoke about it before, about that pressure, about that weight, and about that level of expectation. Not all guys want to fight. But if there's trouble going, you're expected to. If a female sees a fight going on, she'll run to a male, not a female, to get you to harness that fight. Whether you're a fighter or not, the expectation is you've got to sort that out or help out. But you're hoping that somebody else does that because that's not your bag and that's not what you want to do. But the expectation leads you to the pressures on men to fulfill this criteria and to not to be themselves and not to feel comfortable in themselves, not feeling comfortable or ashamed to speak out, ashamed to say, do you know what, today I'm struggling. Today's a real struggle. And sitting there and having a chat with your partner saying, do you know what, today's been a lot today for me. Can I tell you what I've really struggled with? And that conversation, and it could be through something in work or something in life or something that you said in the morning that you didn't mean, and you've carried that on because of your mood. And I wanted to help people in that way and help men better understand themselves. And therapy works. I'm training, just about to start my second year as a person-centered therapist. I'm interested in the therapeutic process.
Yeah.
But I'm also interested in coaching men to better manage themselves, to look at who they are and to have a better understanding of who they are instead of running to the panic button, the self-destruct button. I want to coach men when they come into a situation that they can have a better clarity of thought process and understanding of what's going to be happening and what's expected of them and what they can do, rather than hit the self-destruct button and fuck it.
Yeah.
And go in drugs, end the relationship, and not be in control of, and losing control of everything.
Yeah.
Your relationship, your family, your friends, and your job. And I want to coach men to better manage themselves. So when something happens, they know who they are.
Yeah.
And what greatness they've got, that they can hold that and they can understand that.
It's giving them the tools, isn't it? It's making them mentally equipped to deal with those moments so they can get through them without, like you say, without throwing it all away, which can be done like so easily. And you know, there's probably things that we all do on a day where we wake up and actually, or something happens, something triggers us and we're having not a very good day. For me, something can happen, and this is where we've talked about the social media. Sometimes it's a good outlet, sometimes it's not so good because something triggers me. I've got this outlet where sometimes hundreds of people can see it, thousands, millions of people, and sometimes I'll probably overshare, and it generally, the trend is it comes out when something is going on that I can't talk about, and I'm frustrated because it's in my head and I can't say the actual thing that's happened. So I go on to my page or I make a video and I rant and it just doesn't come across good, and I know that, but that's my outlet. That's my outlet, and because I'm probably crying out for some kind of support, just for someone to say, "Don't worry," or "I understand," or whatever it could be in that moment. So what you're doing is incredible.
But why is it so complex and so difficult to support another human? Why is it so difficult? Why is it so complex? Well, I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's the simple thing you can do is just be kind to people.
And it's so much easier to be kind than it is to go out of your way to kick a man or a woman when they're down, when they're struggling.
It says more about them, though, doesn't it?
100%. 100%. And that is what I hold on to a lot of the time. And there's genuinely been a lot of times where I've said my thing, I've got it out, and then I've moved on. I've closed that and I've moved on. And then it will be a negative comment. Someone will say something negative about what I've said and they'll have a bit of a pop. And then I'll DM them. And not as direct as this, but like, are you okay? But I want to engage with that person just to kind of, you've lashed out, and I'll try and understand, like, why. And there's been so many conversations I've had where people have said, Dan, I'm so sorry. I've had a terrible morning. I saw your video. It triggered me on something. And they've just done the same thing that I've done. I've gone out, put a rant online. They've seen a video. It's triggered them. They've put a rant online. Doesn't mean that we don't like each other as people. And actually, when I then get a bit deeper, I will take the time to DM them and message them and listen to them. Most of the time, they're just having a bad day. It's definitely not therapy.
A special thing for me that I want to do to help men better understand themselves. And I've got a 12-week course called Purpose in 3, and it's done over 12 weeks. It's all online. You meet with me every 2 weeks as a one-to-one coach, and that's the message.
Yeah.
Is don't give up on yourself. And then that led to, I've created a clothing brand which is going to be launched this weekend, hopefully. It's called Urban Vessel Clothing. I've got a hoodie here, I'll show you. On the front of the hoodie, so still standing, still enough.
Yeah.
You made it through your worst day. That strength is still in you. Please don't give up now. I want to start doing that and sending a message out that people inadvertently can help others. So I'm still standing after everything I've been through. I'm still enough because I can do more. And the message at the back, people can read that and say, I needed that today.
Yeah.
I need to read that. And I think through clothing, I think it's a powerful, powerful thing. So that's my next. And just to try, do whatever I can to stop the male suicide rate being the way it is, helping people, men and women, with their mental health, because we're not taught about it in school. I don't ever think, right, in any of my moments in my life, Dan, right, when I was depressed, that I felt that I needed to whip out my recorder and give 3 Blind Mice a go.
I shouldn't like. You are right, though. You are right.
I mean,
yeah.
To help me in my crisis, tell you what, 3 Blind Mice, how did
Get
it go?
the old recorder out. Yeah.
But it did. So the tools that I learned in school were nothing. So I've had to learn everything through experience. And I didn't know what it was like to have a dark mind, or what depression was, or what being anxious was, or what anything was with mental health. I wasn't taught that in school. I was bullied to a point. I was sad all the time. I didn't understand it was okay to be sad. That's not getting mixed up with being depressed.
Yeah.
Being in bed for weeks, not caring about anybody else in your life, is depression. Being upset, a bit down for the day or a couple of days, that's not depression. That's just being sad.
Just being sad.
We need to use that language a bit more and say that we're sad and we're not depressed all the time, because the people who are really depressed, they're getting mixed up with the people who are just sad.
Yeah. And that also, puts a stretch on the people that are there to help, because actually it's okay, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be, well, it's not okay to be depressed, but it's okay to talk about being depressed, and it's okay to ask for help. But I think the problem is, especially in this country, is that the help that is available is spread so thinly that actually probably, some of the people that are maybe just a bit sad rather than depressed, they're taking up resources of people that are suicidal, and they really do need the help, when there is someone that, and sadness can lead to depression. Like, I get that, but I think it's just educating yourself or educating people on what the differences are. And I certainly not an expert in either, but I understand that there is a difference.
Like I do, like I said, at school, I've never, like I said, 3 Blind Mice or bashing out a flapjack has not helped me in any of my crisis moments. It hasn't.
Yeah. It has helped me put on weight, though.
Well, I got type 2 diabetes because of it. Because I'm so good at it. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm really happy. Sometimes, I don't even realise I'm happy when I'm sad. Sometimes I don't. But I want to try and portray that message that it is okay to be sad.
Yeah.
It is okay to feel upset. It is okay to say no at things, and to not ask people all the time if they're okay, but to watch out for the people who are drinking more, who are crying more, who are disengaged more. They're the people you want to be watching out for.
Yeah. Well, I think, Steve, that if you don't mind me saying, you've done a lot of great things in your life. You're obviously here for a higher purpose in helping people. I think the website, the Wellbeing Lighthouse, the book, is the book the same name as well, the Wellbeing Lighthouse?
Yeah.
Oh, it's still available to buy on...
It's on Amazon, yeah. A digital version of my book, an audio book, as well as a physical book as well. It's just all about creating awareness, and that's what I want to do. I just want to really, really create that awareness and be that person for people to say, do you know what? If he's had a life like he has, because he didn't give up on himself, yes, is it great to have Jet from Gladiators in your life as well? Your close friend? Absolutely. She gives me wonderful, insightful knowledge and help and support. And all that, and Bruce and everything else, all those would never have come if I gave up on myself. And that's the message I want. Just don't give up. It's tough. It's horrible. But there is light at the end of the tunnel if you keep on pushing forward.
Yeah.
Don't give up.
Well, I think it's a great message to get out there. I really do. And I appreciate you sharing your highs and your lows of your story. I think it's good for people to kind of that are perhaps sat there now that can resonate with some of the low moments. We're not expecting that everyone's going to come out the other side and, you know, be best friends with a celebrity or write a best-selling book, but you can come out the other side, and whatever your goal is, you don't know what it is yet, because you didn't come out the other side thinking, oh, okay, I know what I'll do. These were chance meetings, but I think you put yourself in those situations as well, and I think it's about putting yourself out there. So yeah, huge respect.
You've not given up yourself. You had to find your purpose.
Yeah.
You know, you had to find it. Yes, your daughter is a big part of your life, and that's everything. But without you finding your purpose, without her being the purpose, with you finding your purpose that you've done now, which is this social media and everything, keeping on with that, your daughter will consistently get a better version of her dad, consistently.
Yeah.
Because you found your purpose.
I hear that a lot, to be fair. I hear people, you know, I need to, and I did give up on myself. You know, I gave up on myself. I put me last, and every ounce of energy went on just being able to just be a dad, full stop, and to be here. And the message that I would get regularly would be, I need to look after myself so that I can be here to look after her, and so she gets the best version of her dad that she can and she deserves. And do you know what? It is hard. And there's days now where I will struggle, but I've started putting myself first. I've been on a bit of a weight loss journey. I've go to the gym now. I try and go to the gym every day and just have that half an hour. And funny, something you said earlier, Steve, resonated with me.
Half an hour in the gym? You're only just getting changed in that time.
No. As in, like, I'll have half an hour at the end in the steam room, which is just me, no phone, no music, no nothing.
That sounds better than that does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, sorry. It's in the gym. I'll do a couple of hours. Well, it depends what time I've got. But even in the gym, I've been there, and people have recognised me, which is lovely. It's nice getting recognised, you know. But men that are in the gym that have recognised me and they then know my story, and they're like, oh yeah, come in and we'll do a workout together. And I just think, and that's lovely because that's support and that's really kind, and I'm always really, really polite. But when I'm in the gym, I want to put my headphones in. I want to just run or get on the cross trainer or just be by myself, not talking to anyone. Does that make sense? And you said it when you were training for your marathon, it was just you and your thoughts. And sometimes that can be a really good thing. And that's what I really appreciate with going to the gym. I go to the gym, yes, to lose a bit of weight. I want to be healthier for my little girl, but also it's 50-50. It's 50% for my mental health as well.
Do you know, even if you get up and make your bed, right? And that's it. And that's all you do that day that's really good, that you go in, when you go to bed, you get to open and pull back the covers, right? If that's the only thing you do, that needs to be enough for you that day.
Yeah.
If that's the only, you need to harness that and recognise and say, do you know what, I got up and made my bed straight away. Brilliant. That's all it needs to be. Or you stood by the kettle whilst it was boiling, and in that time, you didn't look at your mobile phone.
Yeah.
You didn't scroll. You just stood by where that kettle is for the 3 or 5 minutes it's on, that you just stood there without your mobile phone, and you just, in that moment, with that kettle, just with your thoughts. It's those small things that you need to consistently do without thinking you need to go on a pilgrimage.
Yeah. Funny enough, I saw a video yesterday. A guy I know, Dapper Laughs, I don't know, Daniel O'Reilly, I don't know if you're aware of him, but so he's just about to launch a big support network. It's called Mate, Men and Their Emotions. But he posted a video yesterday and it really resonated with me. It was an analogy about if you were in a room full of people and you wasn't necessarily feeling great and you was quite openly not feeling great and people knew that you weren't feeling great and none of them asked if you're okay, well, you wouldn't accept that, would you? You'd be annoyed, but you would be like, well, why am I friends with these people? But we need to check in with ourselves. We need to ask ourselves, are we okay? Because we shouldn't be putting up with that. We should be taking those 2, 3, 4 minutes by the kettle. We should be standing by the toaster and just thinking, am I okay? And thinking about yourself and giving yourself that time and giving yourself a foundation and hopefully building from that, giving yourself half an hour in a gym, 2 hours out on a run, whatever it might be. But I think you do need to check in with yourself and ask yourself, are you okay?
But one thing I will say is don't run a marathon to find your purpose.
No. Well, what I can guarantee you, Steve, is I will not. I will not be doing that because I can.
But watching you grow and develop over the time that I've seen you on social media has been an inspiration. You know, it's very inspiring. You know, you've stuck it out, and you've shared some incredible messages with me, your feelings and that lot. And there was moments in there where it would have been easier to give up.
Yeah.
It would have been easier to give up and go back to working 9 till 5, roof over my head. But that's not what your purpose was. Your purpose is to do what you're doing. And I'm grateful that you stuck at it because you've grown and you've understood yourself more. Yes, you've been for therapy, but that therapeutic process did not happen until you had a better understanding of you.
Yeah.
You were going through. You didn't jump straight into therapy. You ignored it for so long. But then you've had a better understanding of yourself going into that therapeutic room about exactly what you went through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when you've stuck by you. You found your purpose on what you want to do and you've stuck by it. And you've never given up on yourself. And that the amount of times that the videos that I saw of you, they're thinking he's going to give up any time now. He's going to give up. He's going to give up. And I hope he doesn't, but he's going to. But you just said, no, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it work. I don't know how, but I'm going to make it work. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to make it work. And then you created opportunities. My God, man, did you ever think you'd be in a film? Come on.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
The comedy bit, the comedy shows, even though yes, it was a tough one for you to push through with. However, you gave yourself that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you created that. And that comes from, again, not giving up on yourself. You haven't, and great things have happened for you. I haven't, and good things have happened. Great things have happened for me. So the key message is not to give up on yourself.
Not to give up. Yeah. And I think it is the harder thing is to stick through it. That is the hardest thing. The easy thing, the easy option is to give up. And that there's been times where I've been close so many times to giving up social media and it wouldn't be, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going back into a 9-to-5 job, but I just believed that I'm destined for something different. Not necessarily better, just different. I want to be able to spread a message. I want to be able to make people laugh, even if it's on a small scale. And also part of it for me was pride. Like it was pride. I'd lost, social media has been my baby for such a long time. You know, I write everything that's ever been posted on my page. It's come from here. It's my ideas. Everything has come from me. All the little innuendos, all the little jokes. It's all me. It's all up here, and that's where I express myself. And I'd lost so much. It felt like I'd lost everything overnight. And the one thing I just wasn't prepared to give up on, it didn't matter what it was. It just so happened to be social media. I wasn't going to give up. I wasn't going to lose another thing. There's one, like I'd lost control of so many things in such a short period of time that actually, no, I'm not going to lose control of that. And I have been, I've been very close to giving up because it's not an easy ride. It's definitely not therapy. Well, I was just going to say, look, before we wrap up, I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for joining and for sharing. Your story is incredible and it's a real inspiration to hear it firsthand. I really appreciate your time. I always like to end on a little bit of a lighter note. So give me your best joke.
So listen, you've got to understand, right, where my humour comes from, right? I don't like hearing and laugh after I've said a joke, right? I like to hear the groan.
I know that, yeah.
I get more out of that it's internally than hearing somebody laugh at my joke because I think it's landed better.
Yeah.
So with that in mind,
Can I just say, before you tell this joke, not many jokes come with a precursed warning.
brace yourself. Why don't skeletons ever fight each other?
I don't know.
Because they don't have the guts. But They rib each other constantly.
It's a good one.
I love the disappointment in your face. I love it. It just brings so much joy to me. The look of disappointment.
I don't know what I was expecting. I think because of the precursor, I was expecting something that I possibly might have to cut out of the podcast, but it was a good joke. It was a good joke. I like that one.
I like the look of your disappointment, Dan. That means everything. I'll carry that through the rest of the day. Your look of disappointment after this length of time. Your look of disappointment be everything to me. Thank you for the opportunity, though, Dan. I've loved speaking to you. It's been great chatting to you. Social media, keep in contact now. But this has been really good, man. Keep this podcast, keep it going.
Thank you, mate. Well, thanks for everything that you've done. Thank you for messaging and checking in on me over the last couple of years. And I wish you, stay in touch. Of course, stay in touch. But I wish you the best of luck with the clothing, with everything else you've got going on. And yeah, we'll catch up soon, Steve.
Cool, man.
Brilliant. Take care, mate. Have a nice day.
See you later, mate.
Take care. Bye-bye. Steve Williams, best-selling author. Can you imagine I'd have had a best-selling author from who's got a sellout? He was number one in the UK and the USA because of a message that he spread about his own journey to finding himself and on spreading awareness around mental health. Incredible guy, incredible story. There was a few things actually that really resonated with me there, which for me, the nostalgia of childhood, it was nice to kind of talk to someone of a similar age to me. And, we did have a very different childhood, running around, being completely free. It's a different world now. And when he was talking about the nostalgia of like going through that tunnel and coming home, and he knew he was home, and that was his mum, and that reminded him of his mum. And I lost my nan through COVID, and it was hard. It was really hard. And one of the things that I remember from growing up and going and having, sleepovers at Nanny and Grandad's house was they'd always make poached eggs. Poached eggs, whenever I went there, if they said, what do you want to eat? Poached eggs, always, because they were Nanny's poached eggs and they were the best. And for me, it's the nostalgia. Sure, Gordon Ramsay, Jamie Oliver, all these great chefs make probably incredible poached eggs where they put vinegar in and they whisk it around, and it's, they're incredible. My nan used to make them in the little poacher, the little plastic poacher that you put in a tiny bit of butter, put the egg in, cook it for 5 minutes, and that's how I make my poached eggs. And every time I do that, which is at least once a week, and I'll make sure that me and Harper have eggs together. We'll have egg night, which is it probably needs a better name than that, but we have egg night. Oh, I wish I hadn't shared that. But anyway, I'll have poached eggs because do you know what? The entire time of me prepping that dinner and eating that dinner, I'm thinking of my nan. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But the message is, don't give up. Don't give up now. Keep going. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. And we'll see you soon on Definitely Not Therapy. This is Definitely Not Therapy. It's definitely not therapy.